Important carbon compounds. Ethanol and ethanoic acid are the two commercially important carbon compounds. Come, let us learn more about them. Ethanol. Ethanol is colorless and is a liquid at room temperature. Its boiling point is 78 degrees Celsius. Generally, ethanol is called as alcohol or spirit. Ethanol is soluble in water in all proportions. When aqueous solution of ethanol is tested by litmus paper, it is found to be neutral. Consumption of small quantities of dilute ethanol also shows its effects. Even though the consumption of alcohol is condemned, still it has remained a socially widespread practice. Consumption of alcohol harms health in a number of ways. It adversely affects the physiological processes and the central nervous system. Consumption of even a small quantity of pure ethanol called absolute alcohol can be lethal. Ethanol is a good solvent. It is used in medicines such as tincture iodine, that is solution of iodine and ethanol, cough mixture, and also in many tonics. Come, let us now study about the chemical properties of ethanol. Do you know? Methanol, that is CH3OH, the lower homologue of ethanol, is poisonous, and intake of its small quantity can affect vision and at times can be lethal. To prevent the misuse of the important commercial solvent ethanol, it is mixed with the poisonous methanol. Such ethanol is called denatured spirit. To be easily recognized, a blue dye is added to it. Chemical properties of ethanol. Oxidation reaction of ethanol, reaction of ethanol with sodium, and dehydration reaction of ethanol are the three reactions of ethanol. In the reactions of ethanol, the functional group OH plays an important role. We have already studied about the oxidation reaction of ethanol. Now let us study about the reaction of ethanol with sodium. Reaction of ethanol with sodium. All the alcohols react with sodium metal to liberate hydrogen gas and form sodium alkoxide salts. On the reaction of ethanol with sodium, the products hydrogen gas and sodium ethoxide are formed. To learn more about the reaction of ethanol with sodium, let us perform an activity. Let us first see the apparatus and chemicals required to perform this activity. Apparatus: test tube, delivery tube fitted in a rubber cork, knife, candle. Chemicals: sodium metal, ethanol, magnesium metal, etc. Activity: let us first take 10 ml ethanol in a test tube. Cut sodium metal into 2 to 3 pieces of a cereal grain size. Put the sodium pieces into the ethanol in the test tube and fix the gas delivery tube to the test tube. Let us take a burning candle near the outlet of the gas delivery tube. What do you observe? We see that the gas formed burns with a blue flame, making a popping sound. From this, we understand that the combustible gas is hydrogen. Similarly, due to the formation of hydrogen gas, pieces of sodium metal appear to dance on the surface of ethanol. Now let us perform the same activity by using magnesium ribbon instead of sodium metal. Bubbles of gas are seen to be formed from the magnesium ribbon and the candle burns with a blue flame, making a popping sound. This means that magnesium metal reacts with ethanol. Magnesium reacts with ethanol and magnesium ethoxide is obtained along with the release of hydrogen gas. Similarly, when pieces of sodium metal are added in propanol, sodium propoxide is formed and hydrogen gas is released. In the previous standard, we have studied that a moderately reactive metal such as magnesium reacts with a strong acid to liberate hydrogen gas. Though ethanol is neutral, it reacts with sodium metal and liberates hydrogen gas. Sodium, being a highly reactive metal, reacts with the neutral functional group OH of ethanol. Now let us study about the next reaction. Dehydration reaction. When ethanol is heated at the temperature 170 degrees Celsius with excess amount of concentrated sulfuric acid, one molecule of water is removed from its molecule and an unsaturated compound, ethene, is formed. Here, concentrated sulfuric acid acts as a dehydrating agent. Similarly, when butanol is heated with concentrated sulfuric acid, two products, namely but-1-ene and but-2-ene, are formed. Science. Alcohol, a fuel. The sugarcane plant transforms solar energy to chemical energy very efficiently. When molasses, obtained during production of sugar from sugarcane, is subjected to fermentation, ethanol is obtained. On combustion in sufficient air, ethanol gives carbon dioxide and water as the only products. In this way, ethanol is a clean fuel. Therefore, in some countries, it is used as an additive to increase the efficiency of petrol. Such a fuel is called gasohol. After ethanol, ethanoic acid is another very important carbon compound. Come, let us learn more about it. Ethanoic acid is a colorless liquid with boiling point 118 degrees Celsius. Ethanoic acid is commonly known as acetic acid. Its aqueous solution is acidic and turns blue litmus red. Vinegar, which is used as preservative in pickles, is a 5 to 8% aqueous solution of acetic acid. The melting point of pure ethanoic acid is 17 degrees Celsius. Therefore, during winter in the cold countries, ethanoic acid freezes at room temperature itself and looks like ice. Therefore, it is named as glacial acetic acid. Now let us perform an activity. Let us first see the apparatus and chemicals required to perform this activity. Apparatus: glazed tile, glass rod, pH paper, blue litmus paper. Chemicals: dilute ethanoic acid, dilute hydrochloric acid. Now let us perform the activity. Activity: let us first place 2 strips of blue litmus papers on a glazed tile. Now let us put a drop of dilute hydrochloric acid on one strip with the help of a glass rod and a drop of dilute ethanoic acid with the help of another glass rod on the other strip. Let us observe both the litmus papers. We observe that both the litmus papers turn red. We know that an acid turns a blue litmus red. Similarly, we also know that when the pH value is between 0 to 7, the solution is acidic. This means that pH of both the solutions are between 0 to 7, that is, less than 7. Let us note down our observations in the observation table. Now, let us perform the same activity using a pH paper. When we put a drop of dilute hydrochloric acid on a pH paper, the pH paper turns red. Let us compare this red color with the pH color chart. The pH of dilute hydrochloric acid is approximately 1.0. In a similar way, the color formed by addition of dilute acetic acid on the pH paper is orange, and its pH is approximately 3.0. From these pH values, we understand that hydrochloric acid is more stronger than ethanoic acid. Similarly, we understand that a pH paper is useful to distinguish between ethanoic acid and hydrochloric acid. Chemical properties of ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid contains carboxylic acid as the functional group. The chemical reaction of ethanoic acid are mainly due to this functional group. Come, let us now study these reactions one by one. Reaction of ethanoic acid with a base. Let us first study the reaction of ethanoic acid with a strong base. Ethanoic acid undergoes neutralization reaction with a strong base, sodium hydroxide, to form a salt and water. The IUPAC name of the salt formed here is sodium ethanoate, while it is commonly known as sodium acetate. Acetic acid is a weak acid and sodium acetate is a neutral salt. Reaction with carbonate and bicarbonate. To understand the reaction of ethanoic acid with carbonate and bicarbonate, let us perform an activity. Let us first see the apparatus and chemicals required to perform the activity. Apparatus: big test tube, small test tube, bent gas delivery tube, rubber cork, thistle funnel, stand, etc. Chemicals: acetic acid, sodium carbonate powder, freshly prepared lime water. Now let us perform the activity. Activity: let us first take sodium carbonate powder in one test tube and freshly prepared lime water in another test tube. Now let us arrange the apparatus and add 10 ml dilute acetic acid through the thistle funnel in the test tube containing sodium carbonate. What do you observe? Effervescence are seen in the test tube and a colorless gas is formed. Now let us attach a bent gas delivery tube fitted with a rubber cork to this test tube and dip its other end in lime water taken in the second test tube and observe the test tube. The lime water turns milky. From this we understand that the gas formed is carbon dioxide. Now let us write the chemical equation for the reaction of sodium carbonate with acetic acid. Sodium carbonate reacts with acetic acid to form sodium acetate, water, and carbon dioxide gas. Reaction of carbon dioxide with calcium hydroxide, that is lime water, leads to the formation of insoluble precipitate of calcium carbonate and it becomes milky. If carbon dioxide is allowed to pass through lime water for a long time, lime water turns colorless. If sodium bicarbonate is added instead of sodium carbonate, then similar observations are obtained. If a piece of sodium metal is added in ethanoic acid, then sodium acetate is formed and hydrogen gas is released. Come, let us now answer a question. If two test tubes contain colorless liquids such that one is ethanol and the other is ethanoic acid, explain which chemical test you would perform to tell which substance is present in which test tube. Just now we have seen that sodium carbonate reacts with acetic acid to form carbon dioxide gas. And if this gas is allowed to pass through lime water turns milky. While ethanol does not react with sodium carbonate, ethanol does not show any change in the litmus paper, while ethanoic acid turns blue litmus red. Esterification reaction. On the reaction of carboxylic acid with alcohol, substances having ester as the functional group are formed. To understand the esterification reaction, let us perform an activity. Apparatus, test tube, beakers, burner, etc. Chemicals: ethanoic acid, ethanol, concentrated sulfuric acid, etc. Activity: let us first take 1 ml ethanol and 1 ml ethanoic acid in a test tube. Let us add a few drops of concentrated sulfuric acid in it. Now let us keep this test tube in the beaker containing hot water for 5 minutes. Then let us take 20 to 30 ml water in another beaker and pour the reaction mixture of the test tube in it. Now let us smell the mixture in the beaker. The mixture smells like a sweet substance. In this reaction, ethanoic acid reacts with ethanol in presence of an acid catalyst, and an ester, ethyl ethanoate, is formed. Esters are substances with sweet odor. Majority of fruits owe their odor to a particular ester present in them. Esters are used for making fragrances and flavoring agents. When an ester is reacted with the alkali sodium hydroxide, the corresponding alcohol and carboxylic acid in the form of its sodium salt are obtained back. This reaction is called saponification reaction because it is used for preparation of soap from fats. When fat is heated with sodium hydroxide solution, soap and glycerine are formed. Fat contains
carboxylic acid
as the functional group, while glycerine contains alcohol as the functional group. Come, let us now proceed to the next part. Macromolecules and polymers. Macromolecules. We have already studied that the number of the known carbon compounds is as large as about 10 million, and the range of their molecular masses is as large as 10 raised to 1 to 10 raised to 12. The molecules with high molecular mass contain very large number of constituent atoms. The giant carbon molecules formed from hundreds of thousands of atoms are called macromolecules. They are from the type of compounds called polymers. We get many nutrients from the foodstuffs. For example, we get carbohydrates from grains, proteins from pulses, while minerals and proteins from meat. All these nutrients are made up of macromolecules. Similarly, household things like clothes and furniture are made up of cellulose, and elastic articles are made from the chemical substance rubber. Macromolecules are of two types, that is, natural macromolecules and man-made macromolecules. Natural macromolecules. The natural macromolecules, namely polysaccharides, proteins, and nucleic acids, are the supporting pillars of the living world. From polysaccharides, namely starch and cellulose, we get food, clothing, and shelter. While proteins constitute a large part of the bodies of animals. Similarly, their movement and various physiological processes are carried out by proteins. Nucleic acids control the heredity at molecular level. Rubber is also a natural macromolecule. Man-made macromolecules. Macromolecules were produced for the first time in the laboratory and factory with an intention to invent an alternative for rubber and silk. Today, man-made macromolecules are in use in every walk of life. Man-made fibers which have strength along the length similar to natural fibers like cotton, wool and silk, elastomers which have the elastic property of rubber, plastics from which sheets, pipes, innumerable types of articles and surface coatings are made are all examples of man-made macromolecules. The structure of natural and man-made macromolecules is formed by joining several small units in a regular manner. Therefore, macromolecules are polymeric in nature. Come, let us now learn how polymers are formed. Polymers. A macromolecule formed by regular repetition of a small unit is called polymer. The small unit that repeats regularly to form a polymer is called monomer, while the reaction by which monomer molecules are converted into a polymer is called polymerization. One important method of polymerization is to make a polymer by joining alkene monomers. For example, ethylene monomers undergo polymerization to join with each other and synthesis of polyethylene polymer takes place. Come, let us now learn about various polymers that are used in large quantities and their uses. Polyethylene. This polymer is made from ethylene CH2 double bond CH2 monomer. This is the structural formula of the polymer polyethylene. It is used for making bags and sportswear. Polystyrene. This polymer is made from styrene C6H5CH double bond CH2 monomer. This is the structural formula of the polymer polystyrene and it is used to make thermocol articles. Polyvinyl chloride. This polymer is made from vinyl chloride CH2 double bond CHCl monomer. This is the structural formula of the polymer polyvinyl chloride. It is used to make PVC pipes, bags, doormats, blood bags and tubes in hospital kits. Polyacrylonitrile. Acrylonitrile CH2 double bond CHCN is the monomer of this polymer. While this is the structural formula of polyacrylonitrile and it is used to make winter clothing and blankets. Teflon. The monomer unit of this polymer is tetrafluoroethylene CF2 double bond CF2. This is the structural formula of Teflon polymer. It is used to make non-stick cookware. Polypropylene. Propylene CH3CH double bond CH2 is the monomer unit of this polymer. This is the structural formula of the polymer polypropylene. It is used to make injection syringes and furniture. All these polymers are formed by repetition of single monomer. These are called homopolymers. While polymers formed from two or more monomers are called copolymers. For example, PET means polyethylene terephthalate. The structures of polymers are linear, branched, or even cross-linked. Polymers acquire various properties as per the nature of the monomers and the type of structure. The composition and structure of natural polymers were understood after carrying out their decomposition. Come, let us now study about some natural polymers and their occurrence. The polymers polysaccharide and cellulose are formed from the glucose monomer. Polysaccharide is found in starch and carbohydrates, while cellulose is found in the cell wall, that is wood. Proteins are formed from the alpha amino acid monomer. They are found in muscles, hair, enzymes, eggs, and skin. The monomer of DNA polymer is the nucleotide, that is, base deoxyribose phosphate, which is found in the chromosomes of animals. Similarly, the nucleotide base ribose phosphate monomer forms RNA polymer, and it is found in the chromosomes of plants. The rubber polymer is made from the isoprene monomer and is found in the latex of rubber tree. Colors and glues contain the polymer polyvinyl acetate. The monomer of this polymer is vinyl acetate. Structural formulae of some monomers are shown here. Come, let us write down the structural formulae of the homopolymer formed from them.